dragging garbage all over our yard.
Fine, let me help you with these dishes, huh?
Oh, no, George, you don't have to.
No, I know I don't have to. I want to.
George, you are such a gentleman.
I'd argue if I could.
Last
Mrs.
night, Dario gets an alert at 11:27. An animal at the front door. And there it is! Little Rocky Raccoon just traipsing across our front porch, headed to the smorgasbord, which is our garbage can.
It was not in the garbage. It was above the garbage. Hovering. Like an angel. Of course I know your aunt bit it. I kissed her goodbye. Listen, can I tell you something else? In my family, we used to eat out of the garbage all the time. It was no big thing.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride it, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight, he ain't doing nothing but running his mouth. Talk about it, we all
Write it down, folks. March 5th, 2025. It will hereby go down in history as the day we begin our show talking about the Green Bay Packers kicker. It's an unusual place to start, I'll be honest. But given what we have been through, Gabe, given what Packers Nation has been through regarding the position, it actually doesn't feel like that big of an overreaction.
Look, this is a first. It's probably going to be a last. But, I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't have to lie to myself that the Narv dog's going to be coming through in the clutch. No, when you find a good kicker, you hold on to that kicker. And the fact that the Packers came to an agreement with Brandon McManus yesterday, locking him into Green Bay for the next 3 seasons, I don't have to worry about that. And I'll tell you what, Jen, I know Chewy doesn't think of kickers and punters as football players, and that may be true.
Well, not even that. It's people.
I will never take a kicker for granted again. A year and a half of not having a kicker is it's too stressful. I don't want to deal with it. I only get 17 of these games every single year. I don't have to worry about, is my kicker good enough? Do I have faith in my kicker to come out and make a 35-yard field goal?
Adam Schefter yesterday reporting that McManus has agreed to a new contract with the Packers. It's a 3-year deal worth $15.3 million with $5 million in guaranteed money, which occurred to me, Gabe, that when you were suggesting that the Green Bay Packers franchise tag Brandon McManus at a rate of about $6 million, it wasn't that far off. The deal they came to with him obviously gives you long-term security at the position, again, barring any injury, barring any incident. But the price is about that. So when you were saying, hey, if you can't get a deal done, lock him up for 1 year at $6+ million, the Packers sort of did that when you consider the $5 million in guaranteed money and the $15.3 million over 3 years.
It's not a coincidence that this got done yesterday. Right? Like, it's not a coincidence that this got done yesterday, early in the afternoon, before the 3 p.m. Central deadline to franchise tag a player. And unless somebody like Jason or Rob tells me differently, I actually, based on when that deal got done, I actually think the Packers would have franchise tagged him had it come to.
I think that's a very good theory. The timing is what obviously makes it seem most likely. But they basically were saying, hey, we've got leverage here, pal. Mm-hmm. Like, we can franchise tag you, and it's a pretty nice little chunk of change for you for 1 year, and we can kick this bad boy down the road, and we can deal with it again in 1 year. And he was probably like, again, the assertion was that maybe he didn't want to be in Green Bay. Maybe he wanted to see where else he could be. But the Packers are a first-class organization, man. And if you've been around the block and you've been with other teams, no matter how great you think the city is or no matter how great you think the fan bases are, the Packers are the creme de la creme. Now, are they championship caliber team? We'll see. But Brandon McManus gets them closer to that. Having a reliable kicker gets you closer to that than the revolving door that they had prior to Brandon McManus stepping into 1265.
And look, I understand. For kickers, Lambeau Field's not an easy place to kick in. The wind swirls. You never know what's going to happen. And that's why, even though, he didn't have, the top field goal percentage in the league, you always knew you could rely on Mason Crosby. You knew his leg was strong enough to deal with whatever you had to deal with inside Lambeau Field. And even though the Packers did not win the game, but after he kicked that field goal against the Bears to put them ahead in Week 17, coldest game of the year at Lambeau, all right, that to me goes, all right, that should put to bed any doubts that this should be your guy going forward. And again, for McManus, yeah, they could have given you $6 million or whatever in the franchise tag, but now you get $15 million. And look, as a kicker, I understand that's only $5 million of it's guaranteed. Chances are you're making all 15 of that. How many times do kickers actually not live through their deals? How many times are teams cutting kickers as a salary cap casualty? Doesn't really happen. So you're going to more than likely be getting all $15 million of that. You're going to be on a team that's on an upward swing, a team that is going to be competitive, getting into the playoffs. And if they get the right pieces this year, next year, maybe you're competing for a Super Bowl.
I want to go back to the psychology of your status this morning. You had talked about how they should franchise tag him. Obviously, they needed to lock this up. This, again, is because of PTSD. This, again, is because it was so bad, so rough, so unreliable for for way too long, so many games. Look, Matt LaFleur may want to live it down, but we will never, ever forget the quote from Tom Rinaldi during the game about what he does when his kicker trots out there on the field, and he said, pray. We'll never forget that. That will go down in history of this generation, of this era of Green Bay Packers teams. That will be something that people always remember. And by locking up McManus, you hopefully remove yourself from that space, from that, I don't know if we can count on this. And then are you strategizing the game differently? Are you going for it when normally you would trot somebody out there to kick a gimme? Of course you were. So for Matt LaFleur, this is a huge sigh of relief. He is wiping the sweat off of his brow, and he and the team are allowed to go focus on other things. So Gabe, what's next? What is the next move that the Green Bay Packers make to get them closer to being a championship team?
I mean, I don't know if this is the move that they make, but the move they should make. You don't have to wait until next week to go talk to Devante Adams. He's now out there. He was released yesterday. I'm glad Brandon McManus is a member of the Green Bay Packers, and that is, again, it doesn't seem that big of a deal because he's just a kicker, but Goody said it, and I agree with him when he said it. If you want to be a championship team, you have to have a championship kicker, so you can check that thing off the list. And that's, thankfully, check that off, and now you can focus on those other things that you want to take care of this offseason. And again, you don't have to now wait until Monday at noon when that legal tampering window opens in the NFL. Devante Adams is without a contract, which means you can go negotiate with him right now. Devante Adams could sign at any moment with any team now that he's been released from the New York Jets.
What does your gut tell you is going to happen with Devante Adams?
I don't think Goody does it. Yeah. Everybody keeps saying that he wants to go back out west because that's where his family is. That's where he's originally from. I understand the Chiefs isn't out west despite them being in the NFC West, but
AFC.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The AFC West. But I mean, if the Chiefs come calling, how do you say no? I mean, I understand if you would want to come back to Green Bay, but as interested as we are as a fan base, do we actually think that Goody would be interested in a 30-plus-year-old receiver?
I think that Devante Adams is the exception to that rule. Several reasons. One, the experience in Green Bay, experience with Matt LaFleur's offense. Also, they need a veteran leadership in the worst way. They need a veteran to guide and steady that group in the worst way. That's taking nothing away from the guys who are currently there. It's just saying, man, it was a glaring void over the last few seasons. And so to me, and we've said this multiple times on the show, guys, it makes perfect sense. Of all of the things, of all of the marriages, of all of the unions that we see occur in the NFL on a year-by-year basis, point to one that makes more sense than Devante Adams, now a free agent, now looking for a ring, hoping to be on a championship team, then going back to the team he was with and leading that young receiver room. I can't find a reason in my head other than ego and some of those other things that might, I'm not saying they do, but might exist because of the way that stuff went down with Devante Adams. That's the only reason I could come up with where Goody would go, nah, I don't think it's going to work. Because he's still good. That's the bottom line. Well, we watched him this past year, and he is still good enough to be a difference maker for this offense.
And I guess every situation's different. And I know Jason loves bringing up this guy's name when it comes to receivers that you released. But Jordy Nelson still had some good football left in him when they decided to move on from Jordy Nelson. And he was on the team. And they didn't even offer him a pay cut because they just, sorry, you're too old. We're going to move on. So that's the thing that I worry about Goody's track record of not wanting a player that age unless he's been here literally that entire time. That's the thing I'm scared of. I want Devante in the worst way because I think the fall off between Devante and the next crop of free agents is drastic.
A gulch, you might say.
You got anything bigger?
The Grand Canyon?
There you go. The biggest gulch of them all.
Oh, I always say a galaxy. You know, when you think of things that are vast and wide and you can't really put your finger on how large it is, the difference between Devante Adams and the rest of the wide receiver free agents is a galaxy.
Because every other wide receiver free agent, like the only thing that you're worried about with Devante is age. Production has been there. He had over 1,000 yards last year, despite playing in a bad situation in Las Vegas, missing a couple of games, going and playing with Aaron Rodgers, still combined with all the games he played, still finished with over 1,000 yards. But guys like Chris Godwin, coming off of a pretty tough injury, pretty tough ankle injury for there. Amari Cooper wasn't very good at the end of last year. Stephon Diggs, tough injury, hasn't been good for a couple of years. So it just the fall off is so drastic that if you don't go get Devante Adams, I don't know if it's worth getting one of those other veteran wide receivers. You might as well just try to upgrade in the first or second round.
And as we discuss often on this program, nothing exists in a vacuum. And whether you like it or not, the Devante Adams sweepstakes is going to maybe be dependent on what Aaron Rodgers does. And so that's the next domino that maybe
I don't think it
has
has
to
anything
fall.
to do with it.
I agree with you. Actually, I agree with you. I'm actually stunned at how many people nationally believe that the two are inextricably tied. Every time I see somebody talk about, well, he's probably going to team up with Rodgers. He's probably going to hook up with him in this spot or that spot or that. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't think Devante wants to be a Titan or a Giant.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think he wants to stay in New York, play for a bad Giants team, go to the Titans, get his brains beat in? No.
I think they're at two different places in their career where Aaron's looking for somebody who might want him, and Devante is still going to have the opportunity to choose where he would like to land. The thing I fear the most about Devante is that there would be mutual desire on both ends from the Packers and Devante, but if a Chiefs or another contender comes out and offers you $6-7 million more, like what's stopping the Commanders from offering that much more? And Devante goes, well, what's the difference between the two teams? Obviously, I have the familiarity with the Packers, but it's not like the Packers are somewhat on a higher tier than you would say the Commanders are. So there is a situation there where at some point the money will matter to Devante.
Let's go down the list of the betting favorites according to DraftKings. The Packers are actually the top team at plus 190 to be Adams' next team. Chargers are next at plus 500, followed by the 49ers at plus 650, then the Rams at 750, Steelers at 950, Broncos and Patriots at 1,000. Another
he's not going to New England.
Another reunion with the Raiders is a 12-1 proposition, so 1,200. I don't see the Chiefs on that list. I don't see the Bills on that list. I don't see the Commanders on the list. And that's not to say that none of those things they're not going to happen. It's just to say that the betting in Vegas has a different list.
I would be surprised if the Commanders would be aggressive in getting him, seeing as how they just decided to trade for Deebo Samuel's contract. So that would be surprising to me. They already went out. They got their wide receiver that they believe is going to be able to complement Terry McLaurin. So I would be shocked if the Commanders insert themselves into the Devante Adams sweepstakes.
Some of the other teams being mentioned on various platforms online include, of course, the New York Giants, and that, I believe, is because of the Aaron Rodgers connection. Rodgers is thought to be going to the Giants, or now the Titans, I guess, are in the mix as well. Patriots is on this list as well, guys, from USA Today. As they
would
try
have to pay so much damn money.
They're trying to flip, right? They're trying to rebuild. They're trying to get back to their winning ways of the past. Los Angeles Rams on this list as well. Honorable honorable mention, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos.
Rams make a lot of sense, especially since they're moving on from Cooper.
What about the Steelers? Again, I think Devante has a pretty good relationship with Mike Tomlin.
They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, it depends upon they got to figure out their quarterback situation first before they worry about trying to. You're not going to be able to land Devante by going, yeah, we'll figure out quarterback later. Just come on, buddy.
Somebody will be throwing you the ball.
Yeah.
Trust us. We're the team that's throwing out Kenny Pickett for playoff games. We're the team that has decided that Mason Rudolph was the answer at one point.
So as good as you feel about the Brandon McManus thing, and it is, again, all relative. We are talking about the kicker, but something that they needed to lock up and were able to do so yesterday. How confident are you that Devante Adams will be a member of the Green Bay Packers?
Not very. And I would, again, my ideal plan is spending a day 1, day 2 pick on a wide receiver and getting Devante Adams. I think that's a position that you have to not just plan for 2025, you have to plan for beyond. And given that you have no idea what's happening, Christian Watson, who knows how healthy he is going to be coming off the ACL in a contract year. I'm assuming that Romeo Doubs is not going to be a Packer beyond this season. You have to start backfilling that position the way that they used to, going back to the early 2000s, that lineage that basically ended with Devante Adams, where they were constantly backfilling and they had somebody waiting in the wings. So when it was time to move on from somebody, like it was time to move on from Donald Driver, it was time to move on from Greg Jennings, time to move on from Jordy Nelson. You always had somebody waiting in those wings, and it's been a while since they've had that lineage, and they need to start backfilling the position once again.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that the Packers will go out and sign Devante Adams as a free agent? We'll put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. There'll be ranges, right? Joshy, one.
Probably do like in thirds, 1 to 3, 4 to,
6, 7 to 10.
Yep.
All right. Is that even? I never know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, darn it.
If people have questions, they can suck it.
2 words for you.
If you don't like how we fractioned out 1 through 10 on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll, still a lot of stuff to get to this morning. We have Adam Schefter coming up at the bottom of the hour. Perhaps he has some insight into what Devante Adams wants to do, what his priorities are in this now, his free agency cycle. And Aaron Rodgers. Where in the world will the future Hall of Famer be quarterbacking in 2025? That's next.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
We do have a problem on northbound 43 right about at Locust. We've got a crash off on the right shoulder. It's going to be slow from North Avenue all the way up to Keefe. Other than that, we've got building volume around the area and wet roads making for an interesting ride. 175 southbound, by the way, going to be very slow heading from between Hamilton Avenue and North Avenue. So that's also going to be affecting your ride. Just make sure you have your headlights on if you got your wipers on. And check the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Morning showers today, turning to snow in the afternoon. Becoming windy. The temps will be falling. We'll have some accumulation, too, with a high of 45, 32 by 6 p.m. Tonight, snow showers and very windy. Slippery spots out there as well with the low of 24. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
James Imaging Systems. Local support, local accountability, local business technology representatives. Listen to Matheson Manufacturing President Al Leidinger.
She still checks in to see how things are going and if we need anything. So I really do appreciate that from a customer service standpoint.
Michael Quizan, IT Systems Administrator at Great Midwest Bank, discovered the benefits of working with the local team at James.
Our cost from supplies perspective went down. I mean, we're talking about thousands in a year. So we saved a lot of money by bringing James Imaging on.
James Imaging Systems client Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, on dealing with James.
They are making sure you get the full value and life of every product that you have with them.
Local support, local accountability, local people. Get it all with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Introducing the newest carbless flavor, Mango Vodka. Flavored with the essence of the ripest, freshest mangoes, carbless mango vodka will transport your taste buds to a sunny beach getaway. New flavor, still the same carbless crafted cocktails with 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and only 100 calories. Enjoy a refreshing vodka cocktail without the guilt. 4 packs of the new carbless mango vodka cocktail are available in stores near you. Find your bliss today at drinkcarbless.com and escape with every sip.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
There's 2 things she counts in the house. One of the pictures. What do you think the other one is?
Firearms.
Viagra.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Reaction rolling in on the Carbless Talk and Text line 800-990-3776. Less is more. Ray in the 414 says, I feel like Adams coming back home makes too much sense, so I don't think it will happen. I also don't think Goody's pride will let him re-sign Devante Adams.
There's part of me that I don't think, so there was acrimony there, but Devante didn't go out of his way to blast the Packers. He kept it pretty professional in everything. We know the truth because we talked to...
I feel like his first couple interviews he did once he got to Vegas, he made it pretty known that he felt pretty disrespected, which is why he wanted to be out.
Right, and I think that's fair, though.
Yeah.
I'm the best wide receiver in the NFL, or arguably, and they didn't offer me the right amount of money, but he didn't spend time, like, trying to stick it to the Packers as maybe some other player, Greg Jennings, for example.
Sure.
Like, I think there is a difference there.
Yeah. If there's a difference between Devante and Greg Jennings, yes.
Like, and Aaron Rodgers, to be quite frank.
I feel, yes, whatever acrimony existed between Goody and Devante, I feel could be fixed if Devante was younger. Again, it just goes to the one thing we've learned, I feel, about Brian Gutekunst over the last handful of years is that he's more Ted than Ron. And he's been a little more aggressive in the free agent market. Certainly last year, you look back to what he did in 2019 when he had to supplement. But the thing that all of those players that he went out and got in free agency had in common is they were still in their 20s. Like, they were still somebody that was, maybe getting a second contract the way we saw with the 2 guys he got last year. With what we saw when he signed Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and Billy Turner and Adrian Amos. Like, those guys were still in their 20s. He hasn't really added a veteran that's like, okay, this is your last chance, unless it's been out of desperation. He did that a couple of times in the late 2010s, early 2020s with a couple of offensive linemen, and I don't know if he thinks he's at desperation moments with the wide receiver room.
Cody in the 708 says Tay would be a good and much-needed addition, but don't you agree Goody still needs to go find a long-term solution at wide receiver one?
That's why I think, again, you draft you get Devante Adams, and you still spend a day 1 or 2 draft capital on a wide receiver.
I want to plant my flag early. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. He's like 6'4",
like
200
him.
plus
I like
pounds.
him. Yep.
Would be the body type and style of player you are looking for.
Speed.
Good speed.
Good speed?
Yes.
Okay.
Good speed.
I'm sorry. I was asking you about speed.
Good speed?
I didn't go up enough. It showed speed?
Yes.
It wasn't really more of a statement.
I believe he ran 4.4.
Okay, yep. That's all. Okay.
At like 6'4", 2 plus.
Gabe is on a word restriction this morning, so he was trying to be efficient.
Efficiency.
Yes, exactly, in his messaging there. Let's get to Aaron Rodgers very quickly before we go to Adam Schefter this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. So I'm trying to follow what's going on with the other New York team. Obviously, the Jets have announced they are not going to bring Aaron Rodgers back. So the Giants have been a team that a lot of people are mentioning, although there are mixed messages coming out of Giants camp. There was an insider who said that Rodgers was a last resort for the Giants, and then he sort of went back on it and said, well, things are moving really fast. The situation is fluid. He appears to be as viable an option as any other. And I think, Gabe, the general thought is that they wanted Stafford.
Yeah,
the Giants were interested in Matthew Stafford before he re-signed with the Rams.
I can't remember where I saw this report yesterday, but it was apparently the Giants were really close. Like, they were willing to meet whatever number Stafford was. They had talked with the Rams about what players and picks it would take. Were more than willing to give all of that up for Matthew Stafford. And then ultimately Stafford went, nah, you want to stay in Los Angeles, and the Rams gave him the money that he wanted. So they were going to be really aggressive to get Matthew Stafford. Why they want aging quarterbacks is beyond me, because you would think they would just want to reboot this thing. But the next best probably on the market is going to be Aaron Rodgers.
There's no way Aaron Rodgers wants to go to the Giants, though, right? Like, what is the incentive for Rodgers to go there?
Keep playing.
Have a job. Yeah, no.
That's it.
That looks correct. For those of you listening.
If you're hearing my silence, I just don't think...
You can probably picture what her face looks like.
I just don't think that's enough. Like, there's got to be, and again, this is why I think it's more likely that he waits to see if there's an injury that occurs throughout the season, get himself healthy, be in the best shape of his life, and then be able to kind of swoop in hero style, right? An organization that now loses a quarterback midseason to a season-ending injury, and he can show up and be the guy who, takes them to the promised land or whatever, wins games, keeps the season alive. Who knows?
First round exit from the playoffs.
But that's such a risky proposition that somebody's going to suffer, that a contending team is going to suffer a long-term injury at that position. Yeah. That's a risky proposition. So then he would be willing to risk never playing again in order to do that.
What we're witnessing is the league retiring Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And he is doing his best to not have that happen. But when your two best options are the Titans and the Giants, two of the more pathetic professional sports franchises in all of sports in America, you are experiencing what is no one wants you, man. There's no place for you. It's not making sense. And maybe you end up with the Raiders, but do you want Tom Brady to be your day-to-day boss because he's taking more and more part in things?
I'm not sure that Tom Brady would even sign up for the Rodgers sweepstakes, the Rodgers experience.
The only way they would is if they miss out, if like Shador doesn't fall to them or they don't go up and get one.
And there is news that the Giants' plan or hope and desire is to get up to the first overall pick and take Cam Ward. So if that is something they think is possible, Aaron Rodgers is as good as done.
So does Aaron Rodgers sit until after the draft? Do teams wait and see how the draft board falls and see how all of those dominoes shake out before they give him a call? Is that a possibility?
Unless they sign him to like an A.J. Dillon type deal where nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah, his options are thin, getting thinner after the draft. It just doesn't make sense.
This is the quintessential life comes at you fast. Right? I mean, it is not that long ago he was running out of the tunnel, holding the American flag on opening night of the season, and there was all of this optimism and there was all of this belief that this, new chapter was going to end, with him having a lot of success. Not everyone thought that, but plenty of people did. And now here we are a few seasons later, an Achilles injury later, and he may not have a team in 2025. Life comes at you fast, even if you're Aaron Rodgers. We'll take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Adam Schefter coming up next. Hopefully he has some insight on some of these players we've been discussing this morning. Stick around.
Bucks fans, Screamin' Sicilian and Michelob Ultra have teamed up to offer you a hot deal. Stop by your local Pick and Save or Metro Market store and save up to $6 on the purchase of one Screamin' Sicilian Tavern-style pizza when you purchase one Michelob Ultra 30-pack. That's right, save $6 on the purchase of a Screamin' Sicilian Tavern-style pizza when you purchase a Michelob Ultra 30-pack at your local Pick and Save and Metro Market store. Hurry in. The offer is valid starting today through April 1st with Screamin' Sicilian. Taste what all the screaming's about.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, we got a couple of issues right now. First of all, in Waukesha County, Highway 83 northbound, right at I-94, we've got a crash right on the right shoulder. So heads up with that. We've also got a crash on northbound 43 right about at Locust. That one's also off on the right shoulder. Delays coming up from before North Avenue all the way up to Keefe. And then we've also got a broken down vehicle on northbound 894 right about at the ramp from National Avenue. That is off on the right shoulder. Watch for that to start affecting your ride as well. Eastbound 94, watch for backups from 92nd Street to Hawley Road, and then again right through the Stadium interchange to 35th Street. Traffic is brought to you by the Neal Group. They know how to minimize your taxes to keep more money in your pocket. Visit nealgroup.net to learn more. That's nealgroup.net. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, morning showers changing over to afternoon snow, becoming windy, falling temperatures, some accumulation to the north and west, a high of 45. By 6 p.m., it'll be around 32. Tonight, snow showers and very windy, slippery spots out there with a low of 24. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
With Good Health Saunas. ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta here. My infrared sauna from Good Health Saunas has changed my life. An easy-to-install sauna that's great for post-workout, travel, or long-day detoxification. Using Good Health Saunas can help reduce stress, improve circulation, and make your skin glow. You can see the variety of sauna options for yourself at goodhealthsaunas.com/Jen, and you can get $500 to $800 off your purchase. That's goodhealthsaunas.com/Jen.
The Island Resort and Casino celebrates college hoops with the Stack It for the Bracket Challenge. Chances to win up to $1,000 for bracket predictions submitted March 16th through 19th. Sports bet and stay with us March 20th through 23rd. Daily cumulative bets could earn you a free hotel room. Call 800-682-6040 to book your room and mention code SPORTSBETSTAY. Plus, book an Island draft package for lodging and transportation to the event in Green Bay. All promotions found at islandresortandcasino.com.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Evan Cohen here. Picking a place to build a life is a lot like selecting a draft pick. Make a decision that will set you up for long-term success. Pick Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, you'll find dynamic career opportunities, beautiful seasons, affordable living, and legendary weekends. From its high quality of life and great schools to its fine arts, culinary, and pro sports scenes, Wisconsin gives you so much to look forward to.
Some breaking news here that just came down. This tweet from Adam Schefter.
Adam's on the phone. Adam, you got more news? What do you got?
They're going with another move, and here is the man who knows all, Adam Schefter.
It's ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
It's always hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. It just is. I wouldn't be surprised if they meet again, and I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay is in that game and Green Bay has a chance to win that game.
Adam Schefter on JGC is sponsored by Island Resort and Casino. Gaming, casual, and fine dining. 2 golf courses, a luxury spa, and live entertainment. Your total experience is at the Island.
Nobody better to talk to this morning than Adam Schefter about what's going on with the green and gold. Good morning, Adam. What do you got there? A Pacers shirt? Pulling for the Pacers now?
Yeah, I used to have a friend that worked there. He sent me the shirt, and so we have the shirt.
We appreciate the Midwest love.
Well, no, I mean, bleep the Pacers, man. Like, we got to get Adam a Bucks shirt.
That should be something we could.
I don't have a Bucks shirt.
All right,
we got to call Zach Eisendrath has got to send me. My thing. Zach Eisendrath.
Yeah, how about Zach getting a shout out on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning? Yeah. He's going to be absolutely thrilled about that. Yes,
There's
I'm
got to
sure.
be some Bucks paraphernalia.
like you know plenty of people, though. Adam, the name dropping that is happening this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
I'm going to look into it. I'm going to make sure you get some Bucks gear because they're starting to play some pretty good basketball here, Adam, and I think they're going to be making a pretty good push over the next 6 weeks.
From your mouth.
The Bucks.
I thought Adam was going to say something about the Bucks. Sorry about that, Adam. You and I seem to be jumping on top of each other right now. It's okay. Let's talk about Devante Adams because obviously there is a lot of interest from Packers fans to have Devante Adams reunite with the Green Bay Packers. Are you hearing anything? Are the Packers interested in bringing him back, or should we just kind of move on?
Well, I think there'd be some interest. I don't know that it's option one for him or them. I think it's something that absolutely is out there. Again, it sounds like he'd like to go back to the West Coast. I think Green Bay does make some sense, and Green Bay certainly could use another wide receiver. I'm sure they're looking at what they could do here during free agency. Do you see the list of free agent wide receivers in this class?
We certainly have seen it, Adam. We certainly have. We looked at it, and then we looked away.
Hold on. We got Devante Adams, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown, Darius Slayton, DeAndre Hopkins, Elijah Moore, Deontay Johnson, De'Ami Brown, Juju, Josh Palmer, Mike Williams, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Van Jefferson, Robert Woods, DeMarcus Robinson, Tyler Boyd, Tutu Atwell, Noah Brown. I mean, it's a pretty deep list.
But it's not a very good. But it's not a very good list.
Right, and a lot of those guys are coming off of injury as well.
You have that's what it is. There are some injury guys. There are some guys that are younger, some guys that are older, but it's supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean, it's not nobody there other than Devante, I think, can step into a team and be wide receiver one. Do you?
I think he can be. I think he still can be a wide receiver one. He's not the same guy. It's not like we're talking about the prime Devante Adams that we saw tearing it up. He's not that, but he's still a great receiver.
Oh, he's still really good. I think he's the best of the bunch.
No. I think Gabe is saying he thinks he's the only one who could step in and be a wide receiver one. When you look at the rest of that list, they all sort of feel like wide receiver twos or further down on the list. And Green Bay is in desperate need of somebody to come in and be the guy.
Chris Godwin could be, but he's coming off a big knee.
Yeah. That's just a huge question mark because it seemed like a pretty devastating injury.
It's that's not an easy one to overcome. And again, there's a reason that this list is getting to free agency. The league has done a better job of identifying good young players that they want to re-sign and retain. Did you notice this year there were only 2 players who were tagged? 2. Okay, T. Higgins would have been one, and he would have been a number 1 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got the rest of the list, and it's a great list. There's a lot of great players, but there are lists with questions on there too.
What's the timeline now, do you think, for Devante? Because he can sign anywhere, so he's got that advantage over everybody else you listed. They can't start talking to teams other than their own until Monday. He can start talking with anybody now. Does he last until free agency starts, or do you think he signs with someone before that?
I don't know the answer to that. I guess my advice to Devante would be get that deal done today if you can. Honestly, like the sooner you get it done, the better you are, better off you're going to be. The price on Devante Adams isn't going to rise on Monday and Tuesday. The price to me on these things drops the further you get into free agency, and the best prices for players usually come Saturday, Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. If you have to wait until Wednesday or Thursday, by then your price usually is not in a better spot than it was at the beginning of the week.
Adam Schefter hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy as he does each and every Wednesday. So the other thing that we're wondering if it will affect where Devante Adams goes is Aaron Rodgers. And the sweepstakes seems to be getting smaller and smaller. We're hearing the Giants. We're hearing the Titans. We're hearing maybe he takes a year off. We're hearing maybe he comes in relief of an injured quarterback mid-season. What do you think is most likely to happen? As Joshy said earlier, this feels like the quintessential, the league sort of retiring a future Hall of Famer. I said, life comes at you fast, even if you're Aaron Rodgers, Shefty.
Listen, the quarterback carousel is still winding around, and we're going to see how it shakes out in the next week. But I can say that as we look at it right now, there are not an abundance of landing spots for Aaron Rodgers. We could look at the Giants potentially as one. I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to Tennessee, Cleveland, Indy. I don't see him doing that. I think he's going to a certain kind of team in a certain kind of market. The best spot for Aaron Rodgers was the Los Angeles Rams, and that dried up because if Matthew Stafford had been traded to the Giants or the Raiders, which had been discussed, that would have been a home run for Aaron Rodgers. Has a house in Malibu. I think he has enormous respect for Sean McVay. The roster is ready to win. He could have stepped in there. They could have gotten a deal done, and that would have been the home run play. The home run play wound up striking out. And so now you look at it, and the way I see it, the Giants are a potential option. I heard Max Crosby lobbying for Aaron Rodgers to come to Las Vegas. I haven't heard a lot of chatter. It always could happen. I always like to say, as Sean McVay said, there are no absolutes at this time of the year. But I haven't heard a lot of Vegas chatter. We'll see if that changes. Where are the other potential landing spots for Aaron Rodgers? Pittsburgh, maybe. I think they're gonna re-sign either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. So I think we may be in a position here where Aaron Rodgers' best option is to wait and to see what happens and to see a situation that we don't see coming. I don't know what that is right now, but quarterback X on this team decides he wants a new contract. The team trades him. Quarterback X is injured. Team suffers quarterback loss with some off-field issue. Like, there are things that happen semi-regularly. And so either the Giants come through in my mind, maybe a Pittsburgh or a Raiders materializes. That's possible. I don't see that today, but it could happen. And short of that, his best option may be to just wait. Wait to see what happens. Wait until the board resets a little bit and see what else comes up.
Adam, maybe you can help me. I don't understand why the Giants were, interested in Matthew Stafford in the first place, and now they're interested in Aaron Rodgers. I just assumed once they decided that they were going to move on from Daniel Jones, they were going to hit the reset button, try to get a young quarterback, and start trying to figure out if that young quarterback can be the guy they can build around. These guys seem like stopgap options for a team that's not really that close to winning.
Well, I can make this very simple for you.
All right.
First of all, you got a coach and a GM that's fighting to keep their jobs. You have the number 3 pick. You have 2 quarterbacks that are regarded as the top 2 quarterbacks in this draft. What if you can't trade up, and what if quarterbacks go 1 and 2? Who's your quarterback? Beyond that, what if you do get one of those rookie quarterbacks and he's not ready? Who's your quarterback? You need a quarterback. The only quarterback they currently have under contract is Tommy DeVito. So what are you doing? You need a quarterback. Matthew Stafford is still playing at a Pro Bowl level. If you have the opportunity to get Matthew Stafford, you jump at that. In fact, I would say the Giants should have been more aggressive and made a bolder play and offered more draft pick compensation than they did to get him. The other options at this point, Aaron Rodgers, the price might be right. Look, Aaron Rodgers is probably not the first choice. Matthew Stafford would have been ideal. Trading up in the draft would be ideal, but you didn't get Stafford. You might not be able to trade up. What are you going to do? You can't just say, well, we missed out on all these other things. Time for Tommy Cutlets. Like, that's not happening. So what do you want to do, Gabe?
I mean, but I'm just curious as to, I guess I understand why Rodgers would go there if he's got no other options. But
do you understand now why they went at Stafford? Like, he's still a top quarterback.
Oh yeah, like I understand going after Stafford but also I think Stafford probably has a couple of seasons left, maybe 3, maybe 4. Seems like Aaron Rodgers wants to play one more season to try to prove that he could still do it and then maybe walk away.
Okay, fine. Again, let's say you don't like Aaron Rodgers. Who do you want the Giants to go get right now?
Why not go get Sam Darnold? Vikings didn't franchise tag him.
By the way, that's an option. I'm sure they're going to look at that. That is an option. But by the way, what's it going to take to sign Sam Darnold? Is he going to leave Minnesota? Is he going to have other options? Are you absolutely going to get him? I don't know. They don't know. They might.
My God, the ego blow that Aaron Rodgers would take if the Giants decided to go with Sam Darnold instead of him would be incredible, outrageous, enormous. Like I can't stress it enough how difficult that would be for Aaron Rodgers to swallow, I think.
I can't think of a time when a quarterback at his level, a first ballot Hall of Famer, is going to be retired by the league. Like most guys at that level are the ones who eventually make the decision to walk away. That's what happened with Brett. Like he got beat up in his last season in Minnesota. He's like, I can't take it anymore. I'm walking away. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, like all these guys that are on his level ultimately walked away on their own accord. And he might be the one that gets retired by the league.
Again, it would be naive of us to sit here and act like some of his personality isn't playing a role in that. I know that we minimize it at times and say, if you can win, you can win, and people don't care. They'll deal with a lot. I believe that the league is looking around going, it feels dangerous. It feels like, again, just my opinion. And also, him being 40 years old. Like, that's the other thing to it. I don't want to spend all of our time on that, Adam. I do also want to talk about Saquon Barkley, who got that outrageous, extraordinary deal. Not outrageous in a bad way, but, like, good for him from the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, the hits just keep on coming for the New York Giants here. Were you surprised when you saw that news, when you received that news and announced that news yesterday, that the Eagles locked him up like that?
I think you've got a situation there where Saquon Barkley was going to get a new contract this offseason. And obviously you work off the Christian McCaffrey deal that got done last offseason. And if my memory serves me correct, that deal got done sometime in the spring, like later on, way after free agency. So the only surprise to me was that this came yesterday, a week ahead of free agency. But I think it was typical Eagles getting out in front and sending a message. They knew they were going to do it. And it sets a tone for the offseason. We take care of the players we want to take care of. We do the right thing. We send a message. And by the way, it stands in stark contrast to the way the Giants handled Saquon Barkley. A year ago, we're going back and forth about whether the Giants are going to tag him, whether they're going to re-sign him, whether they're going to lose him. And here we are a year later, less than a year later, or basically the same week, where the Eagles go and make Saquon Barkley the first $20+ million a year running back. So they boost up their own franchise. They shine a spotlight on how valuable Saquon's been. And they decided to move ahead to see how this is going to work out. Like Saquon was a home run signing last year. You want every signing to be like that. And they've elevated his salary and put him in a stratosphere that no running back has been in before.
All right, Adam, I need help. Who are you taking this weekend? Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Gabe, I'm so glad you asked me that.
Yes.
Jen's not. I am.
So am I.
It's the first week of our golf pool. And
All
I
right.
do not have a conviction. I don't want to use like Schefter or Rory because it's the first week, 28 weeks. Like, I don't want to burn them, right? Like you get to use them once. So me and my partners have been voting on it. I initially sent in Thomas, Cantlay, Hideki, but I'm maybe Lowry, maybe Russell. Who do you like?
Yeah, so I was debating if I wanted to burn one of those big names because it is a signature event, so you get a lot of points if Rory or Scheffler steps up and wins. I mean, Sam Burns has always played well there. I was looking at birdie numbers. Cam Young's had really good. I mean, it makes a lot of bogeys too, so that's the issue. It'd be kind of a gamble if you went with Cam Young, but I'm kind of leaning towards Sam Burns right now.
That's an interesting one, Sam Burns. I haven't even heard his name. Sam Burns. Well, he's not played great. He's played okay. 24th at the Genesis, 49th at the Waste Management, 22nd at the 18th. Not great. He's playing better, but he's not playing great.
Yeah, but he's got a decent history there. Just another name that you guys can debate amongst yourselves.
This is going to be a process today, and I don't really have the time for this today. I told them I don't have a conviction this week. You guys make the pick and let me know.
I mean, I can't imagine what you're going to have to go through next week. I mean, next week with the players going on and free agency.
I know where I want to go there. I know where I want to go there.
All right.
Okay? Jen, what are you eating? An apple there?
Well, I wasn't gonna weigh in on this conversation, so I may as well get a jump start on my breakfast.
Adam, she started to take golf lessons. Like, she's going to get the golf bug and join these conversations pretty soon.
Jen, you're taking golf lessons?
I am, yes.
What? How far into it are we?
Very early, but I feel good. You know, I can hit the ball, which is a huge benefit, I think.
Step one.
What made you want to take golf lessons?
Many things, but mostly it will give me an opportunity to see my husband, because that's where he spends the majority of his time. So I figure if you can't beat him, join him, type of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna hang out with him at the driving range.
Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, I'm glad that you guys got that fix in. You know.
You got to give him the outlet. Everybody's asking him about Devante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Myles Garrett all day. My guy just wanted to talk a little bit.
Gabe was over here scratching like Dave Chappelle, okay, to get in the golf stuff.
There are a few things that I'm more concerned about than who's going to win the Arnold Palmer this week, and I can tell you that right now.
Adam, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We're going to put together that care package for you of Bucks gear so that you can sport some Bucks gear.
Can I give you my sizes?
Oh, yes, please.
I think probably L T-shirt, XL sweatshirt, XL sweatshirt, L shirt, and probably L short.
All right.
You put the request in. I feel like we can make that happen. Adam Schefter hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy each and every Wednesday. Adam, have a great one. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
He's just the best.
I love him.
I love that we're like, you can't wear that Pacers shirt. And he's like, give me some Bucks gear. Make it happen.
I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We got connections.
Island Resort and Casino each and every week brings us our conversations with Adam Schefter. It's a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience today.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
No shortcuts, no compromises, just the job done right. At Exterior Pros, we don't just meet expectations, we crush them. Every nail, every window, every shingle is a step toward your home's next chapter. From the moment we start until that final reveal, we're committed to making your home better than ever. Quality products and craftsmanship you can count on. Go to the pros for your next project. Get started today and save $2,000. Visit extpros.com or call 262-800-4274. That's 262-800-4274.
Look what I found.
What is it?
It's a list of the traditional and modern anniversary gifts for each year of marriage.
Sarah and I use a different list. But go ahead and tell us about yours.
The traditional gift for your first anniversary is paper, but the modern gift is a clock.
Well, our list says the first anniversary is always diamond jewelry.
What's your list called?
The People's Choice.
The traditional gift for your 6th anniversary is iron, but the modern gift is wood.
What a coincidence. For the 6th anniversary, our list says diamonds again. What do you have for the 10th anniversary, Rick?
Traditional is aluminum, modern is diamond jewelry.
Well, there you go. Our lists agree. What have you got for the 7th anniversary?
Copper and a desk set.
Nope. Diamonds again.
I'm beginning to see the wisdom of the People's Choice list.
It's good to have you on board.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did you make up that People's Choice list, or is it real?
Well, we're people, aren't we?
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Spring is finally here, and so are spring projects. So get them started at Harbor Freight's parking lot sale. This weekend, save on products like pressure washers for $69.99, 42-inch roller cabinets for under $500, plus 30% off Hercules corded power tools. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 3/9/25 while supplies last. Limitations apply, so spring in before it's over.
Empower. Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads. Race car bobbleheads. Little chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little, but Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Something amazing is happening in data management. Even though storage needs are constantly changing, companies are only paying for what they need now. That's because CDW customized a Pure Storage Evergreen One SLA-driven storage-as-a-service solution that delivers enterprise-grade hybrid cloud storage that is effortless, efficient, and evergreen. Simplify storage administration with Pure Storage and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/purestorage.
Relief from hip and back pain can be a reality when you work with the experts on a mobility and flexibility routine. That's why StretchLab was founded. Pro athletes and sports fans alike love StretchLab for our customized one-on-one assisted stretch sessions. Discover the difference a good stretch can make, because when your body moves better, you feel better and live better. Visit your local StretchLab today or go to stretchlab.com and use code FAN10 to get up to 50% off your first 50-minute stretch. Plus, receive an additional $10 off.
Hey, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Kyle Walsh for Universal Windows Direct. Tax season is here, and what better way to reinvest in your home than with brand new energy-efficient windows? During Universal Windows Direct tax time sale, you can save big now. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and there's no limit. Need 4? You only pay for 2. And here's something that will make your wallet even happier. Pay no interest until 2030. Schedule your free in-home estimate or visit universalwindowsdirect.com, and like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
But she doesn't know. Every now and then, I got the blammer coming up and I'll let you use my tractor for 2 of the blue things. Which I think's a pretty good deal, which gets me in trouble.
You got a Viagra ring?
Yeah. On 94.5 ESPN.
So the NFL draft in Green Bay is just 50 days away, right around the corner. And fans can now register for free entry to the 2025 NFL Draft by downloading the NFL One Pass app or by registering online at NFL.com/draft access. Every adult is required to register. All registrants may bring up to 5 kids per entry, that according to Packers.com. And one of the people in this group have already taken care of that, haven't they?
Yeah, to me, the draft is one of the more exciting things that isn't actually like playoff football. So even though I'm going to be there in a professional capacity and will be working, I don't know what the credentials are going to look like. So I went ahead and just said all 3 days, if I want to waltz on over and just kind of get a feel of what's going on, because it doesn't give you access to the theater where they're actually doing the draft. But as we've seen, like it's a whole scene. There is so much space, there's so much going on.
Games, exhibits, player appearances. There'll be plenty of activations for brands and sponsors.
So I, being a draft dork, decided I need to be in the mix as much as possible, and I don't want to leave that up to chance or anyone else. I'm going to give myself an opportunity to be there.
Hey, I kind of love draft dork, by the way. Draft dork? That's a good little nickname. I mean, we could, for the next 50 days, at the very least, we should refer to him as draft dork.
Maybe get him a hat.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, I know you would. I know you would. That's why I would get it for you.
I only put it on, though, when we talk draft. I have to switch hats.
Correct, yes.
If I'm going to talk about the draft, I need to accompany with a hat.
Would you punt on any work responsibilities if you do indeed get this for those 3 days?
So what this is...
Let me just interrupt here. My client should not answer this question.
So
my client is not going to.
It's aside from that. So I have not crossed the bridge of what if I have the opportunity to go to the draft first, need to be there. I would probably look at like day 2 or day 3, because just knowing how big the draft day is for us and all the things we're going to be doing, it's probably not going to be looked on too lightly. Like, hey, we brought you up to the draft and now you're just going to watch and have beer. I don't think that will fly, which I think is a fair expectation.
But also, if you're the draft dork and you get a chance to go out, join it. Like, I don't know if anybody you advertised it with a hat saying draft dork.
Hey, Gabe, bills, rent, gonna come up. Need to keep the job.
Yeah. What's Mussolini for?
Personally, I think you've said too much already, Josh. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was hoping you'd quit while you were ahead, and then you just kept spinning over there. So, obviously, if you are interested in going to the draft, I saw oh, my daughter's teacher. I was trying to figure out who it was that was talking to me about this. My daughter, who is in 4K, her teacher is a huge Packers fan, and she said she's going up. She's getting tickets, going up, super pumped about it being in Wisconsin, huge football fan, and so she'll be there in Green Bay for the draft. And the look on her face, guys, the giddiness on her face, I don't know that I've seen that yet. It was my first time seeing somebody who was like so flippin' jazzed about the draft being in Wisconsin and about it being, an hour and a half north of us. And I'm sure there are many other people out there who are like that, but it was actually kind of a cool, like, oh yeah, it's work for us. And Joshy, obviously, you recognize the significance of it, how special it is. But it's work for us, right? We're going to go up. We're going to work the draft. But for people like my daughter's teacher, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I think we can't lose sight of that as we continue talking about it and covering it.
Josh, is the number one thing on your power rankings about attending the draft is number one the opportunity to boo Roger Goodell?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay.
I would also like to an image of me heartily laughing at a team making a back draft decision.
Okay,
that
sure.
would be, picking on somebody for
a little shart and farter. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, the Oakland Raiders draft somebody way, way too early. Like that. That is, yeah. But booing Goodell, Simon, I'd put Mark Murphy if he makes a face out there. I don't know why. I just
if he
feel
makes a face, just any face, not any specific face, just a face.
Wait, okay, so let me get this straight.
Yep.
Mark Murphy, the president and CEO of your favorite team, who made it his mission to bring your favorite non-playoff event to the state in which you reside. If he showed his face at this event, his baby, you would boo him.
Yeah. Ticket prices. Have you seen them? Trying to rip off the city of Green Bay for rent? Come on.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Listen, at least he's consistent.
Yeah, I just thought if he loved the draft so much, why would he boo the guy who brought the draft?
If he shows his face at the end, I'd give him a round of applause.
It's just one thing he's done, Gabe. Yeah. Joshy is considering all the things he has done.
Josh's favorite thing is the draft.
Yeah. His second favorite thing is the Packers. He's the president of the Packers.
I never said this was rational. It's feelings.
Welcome to fandom, guys. We'll take a break. Roll on right after this.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, the problems keep building. We have the ramp from westbound 94 to Brewers Boulevard closed because of a broken down vehicle. Delays out of the Marquette all the way through that point, all the way to about 76th Street. Eastbound is going to be heavy heading past Highway F all the way through the Barker Road area, back on the brakes from 92nd Street all the way to 35th. Northbound 43, we've got that accident right about at Locust off on the right shoulder, but the delays, pretty nasty delays starting from Lincoln all the way up past that point to Keefe. Southbound slowing down from just before Hampton all the way down to Locust. We've also got delays coming out of Mitchell Interchange around the Plainfield curve up past Oklahoma Avenue. And northbound on 894 backing up out of the Hale Interchange up to National. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today, morning showers, they turn into snow, becoming windy, falling temperatures, some accumulation with a high of 45 to begin with, but 32 by 6 p.m. Tonight, snow showers end, very windy, slippery spots with a low of 24. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
The Island Resort and Casino celebrates college hoops with the Stack It for the Bracket Challenge. Chances to win up to $1,000 for bracket predictions submitted March 16th through 19th. Sports bet and stay with us March 20th through 23rd. Daily cumulative bets could earn you a free hotel room. Call 800-682-6040 to book your room and mention code SPORTSBETSTAY. Plus, book an Island draft package for lodging and transportation to the event in Green Bay. All promotions found at islandresortandcasino.com.
Kevin Moret here for Mentality. Listen up, gentlemen. You're fighting an unfair battle. Studies show testosterone levels in men have plummeted by 25% in just 2 decades. That's why you're struggling with energy, muscle, and drive. But here's a game changer. Mentality's FDA-approved treatments boost testosterone by 30% on average. Imagine reclaiming the vitality your grandfathers had. Picture turning heads, dominating your career, and feeling unstoppable again. Don't settle for today's normal. Seize the day at mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Marquette Hall of Famer Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. Showtime. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
So I had told you guys that something was getting in our garbage cans. Was digging through the bags, was dragging garbage all over our yard.
Let me help you with these dishes. Huh?
Oh, no, George, you don't have to.
No, I know I don't have to. I want to.
George, you are such a gentleman.
I'd argue if I could.
Last
Mrs.
night, Dario gets an alert at 11:27. An animal at the front door. And there it is! Little Rocky Raccoon just traipsing across our front porch, headed to the smorgasbord, which is our garbage can.
It was not in the garbage. It was above the garbage. Hovering. Like an angel. Of course I know your aunt bit it. I kissed her goodbye. Listen, can I tell you something else? In my family, we used to eat out of the garbage all the time. It was no big thing.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride and she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight. He ain't doing nothing but running his mouth.
I have a travel dilemma. It is not so serious as the travel dilemma that one couple found themselves in.
Woof. Nope. Nothing's that serious, Jen. Ain't nothing that serious.
So in case you missed it, a couple was on a flight on Qatar Airways, however you pronounce it, when someone on their flight died.
Kick the bucket.
He just died. And you're on a flight, a long flight. And the crew didn't really know what to do with the person, the BODY, the unalive person.
Wait. Of all the words that you have said on this show, you're scared to say body?
It just feels icky.
Out of respect to the past.
Feels some of the things you've said, and that's the one that feels icky. This somehow is the line.
And the couple was upset that they had to endure the remaining part of their flight next to the BODY. They were upset because they said,
"Wouldn't you be?"
It's 4 hours of their flight.
Listen,
next to a dead person. Yeah. 4 hours you have to sit next to a dead person.
Listen, Haley Joel Osment over here. I feel like there's a little bit of perspective missing for those people, by the way. And this is a side note because I do want to get to my dilemma coming up. But the side note is, yeah, it's bad that you have to sit next to a dead body on a plane. You know who it's worse for?
The dead.
The person that died. Okay?
They're already dead. It's done. It's over.
It's kind of fair.
They're having a worse day than you are having.
They had a worse day. All right? Like if
you believe it happened, they might be having the best day ever.
Exactly. Depending upon if they're religious, that's a great day. Ends up being a great day for them.
That is that is a lot of spin you just put on that.
I don't think there's any spin. I think it's just the truth.
They're having a great day. Kick the bucket.
I think to these people's point, like there were other seats that were empty on the plane. So what they should have done is given the dead body its own row. Like, hey, we're in the middle of it. I understand you guys are traveling together. Would you mind sitting separately in a different spot of the plane? It's either that or you sit next to the dead body. And they didn't really get presented that option, which is what should have happened.
I agree.
I think in that spot, I stand up and move. Too bad. Turn the flight around if it's going to be a big deal if I move.
I mean, the challenge is it's not like there's a place to stash a body, guys. You're not putting it down in the cargo area. You're not putting it in one of the... Now, I suppose another solution could have been to put it in a restroom and close that restroom. There are certainly flights I have taken where one of the restrooms is unavailable. It is either broken or there's some issue. Maybe somebody did a little something in there they shouldn't have.
It's unavailable for other reasons.
Take that however you prefer.
So as I understand it, the typical protocol for this airline is to move the passenger up into either first class or the business section where there's a lot more room you can spread out.
The passenger or the passenger?
The passenger. But apparently there was difficulty moving the person and navigating them between the rows due to their size.
Oh, so they were staying put.
They were staying put because I believe they had to go through extraordinary measures to get them off once they were on. So there is usually, because not that it happens common, but people passing on flights does happen because there is change in pressure, there's stress, all those things.
Have we talked about the anxiety that I get from flying on airplanes and how I have a pretty lengthy flight coming up today? Maybe we could avoid saying that people die on airplanes, it happens.
I just thought your anxiety was really more about, the plane operating, not you operating.
Yeah, I think you're of the health where we don't have to really factor that in.
I suppose, but anything can happen.
I mean, have you had a physical recently?
The good news
is
is
standing, right?
I've done physical things recently. Does that count?
The good news is they could definitely move you into a bathroom if they needed to.
Yeah, tiny human.
True, yeah.
You know what? Throw her in the overhead. She'll be fine. All right, so I want to get to my dilemma, which I've got this international flight coming up later today, leaving Chicago at 4:45, headed to Italy by way of Madrid. It's a 9-hour flight from Chicago to Madrid, and then I am flying to Italy. But on the way back, I am leaving Italy, Turin, that's where Special Olympics World Games are taking place. I'm leaving Italy, and I'm going through Paris. And my layover in Paris, guys, is 5 hours and 25 minutes. Woof. That's a long time to busy yourself at an airport, even an airport as nice as the Paris airport. So my dilemma is this. Should I leave? Should I land in Paris, leave the airport, go see the Eiffel Tower, bop around, take some pictures, grab a croissant? It's just fun to say.
Never do that again.
Yeah, leave that one on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I appreciate that you tried.
Do not order one that way.
Especially the face that you made as you said it. They will not serve you.
And then hustle back to the airport to catch my flight to Chicago. Should I risk this?
My initial question is, have you looked into the legalities of doing this? Because would you need like a visa to leave the airport and then go into the general public? Because you certainly would have to go through customs to leave the airport once you're like in the international wing. But like, is that allowed? I'm not even sure.
Haven't even checked.
Would you be an international criminal if you decided to go take pictures?
Criminal?
Well, somewhere you're not supposed to be.
Gone to the extreme. You've never done this before, where you have a long layover. I think we've done it before, like in Amsterdam, where we had like a 24-hour layover, and so we went and got a hotel and went around. And I don't think it's illegal. I could be speaking out of turn. I don't think it's breaking any laws. I think the bigger risk is: do you have enough time, to your point, to get through customs, to then grab a Uber? Uber.
Don't, please don't.
Uber.
To grab a ride share and then go see a site and then get back and catch your flight. That's what I don't know.
I've got a feeling that you were going to risk this because you are the person who also once booked a flight that the airline would not allow you to book in terms of trying to catch in terms of catching the next flight because it was too tight of a window.
That's true.
Now, you successfully pulled that one
Booked
off.
it separate, that's right.
So booked the two flights separately instead of booking them together.
Caught the plane train, timed the whole thing, made the flight.
You made that happen. So I've got a feeling that you're going to risk this. However,
go ahead.
It's a significant more risk than the previous flight because, I mean, if you were to miss the flight, you'd have been, what, in Atlanta? Like, who cares? You're still in the States. If you don't pull this one off, and then you have to book another international flight to get home, and you're stuck in Paris, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, and theoretically, my luggage gets back to Chicago, on time, and then I'm just chasing it, chasing the luggage.
This also connects to other stories you've told us where your propensity to run out of gas, and the undue risk and stress that you like to give yourself. So we already established not a big fan of flying. So now you're adding in the stress of leaving the airport, getting back into customs. Like, what if you go to to security to get into the international wing and the line is like miles long? What happens then?
Maybe I cry.
Do we?
Maybe someone will take pity on me, although unlikely. No one ever does.
Again, it's not just one person has to take pity.
Yeah.
One person, and then the person in front of them, and the person in front of them. Like if the line's long enough, 5.5 hours is yes, it is a lot of time, but it's not a lot of time if you want to leave the airport and go back to the airport.
Yeah, I think.
Feels like a lot of time, though. It feels like plenty of time. Like in 5 hours, I could get to Notre Dame. In 5 hours, I can get to Bloomington and fly.
Sure.
Yeah, that's if you walked out the door and got in your car.
Yeah.
Just saying, go to the Eiffel Tower. It doesn't feel that far away. Although to be fair, I don't know how far the Eiffel Tower is from
what airport
the
are you going to?
Charles de Gaulle.
I will start looking up some of those because, like, what if they have one of those nice? Some international bigger airports have like those pods, basically, where it's like a bed and you could just hang out, take a little nap, cruise for 3 hours.
I could go to the lounge. I could go to the airport lounge. I'm flying Delta, so I could hang out there. But I will tell you this, guys. I recently had a 3.5 hour layover. Woof. I mean, you can only have the little crostinis so many times before you're like, get me out of here, Mista lady.
I understand. But again, 5.5 hours, yes, is a long time to sit in one spot. It's not that long of a time to try to get the leave. And then again, getting back through international security. It's not like going to Mitchell, all right, where you're just strolling on through. I have no idea what the lines are going to be like at the Paris airport trying to get back in.
What do you got, Joshy?
There is, it's about 32 kilometers away from the Eiffel Tower. Right now, obviously, we're dealing with time here, but it is about an hour by vehicle, and there's a train every 7 minutes that takes you about 53 minutes.
Ooh, that feels brutal. That's rough. If it's an hour between the airport and the Eiffel Tower, now it feels dicey.
So now you have
Dicier.
4.5 hours just of travel time.
Well, but that's
3.5.
one there and back, so 3.5.
Yeah, because it's 2 hours. It's 2 hours round trip.
Jeez.
Let's say you stand in the customs line for an hour. Again, probably generous, but still, now we're down to 2.5 hours.
I mean, so hypothetically, you could go there, take a picture, and then jump right back on the thing. You'll be flying.
In fact,
moving every 7 minutes.
Don't even have the car leave. Don't move. I'll be right back.
Well, again, if you take the train, it's every 7 minutes. You got 7 minutes at the Eiffel Tower.
That's not bad.
How do you feel about international public transportation? Because public transportation can be doozy and confusing. You can get twisted up. Next thing you know, you're going the wrong direction.
100%.
Internationally,
now it's
I'm
in
even
French.
more. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been to France. I speak some Spanish, right? Like I can get along in Spanish. I speak zero French. I speak less than zero French, right? Like, and when we were in France, les incompetents. Yeah, that's the one I was going to go to. You're what the French call. But I don't, when we were in France and we tried to communicate with people, one, I don't know the language. Two, they don't really want to help you. They're not real interested in making your life easier, making your travels easier. So, all right, well, listen, we'll put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. We'll lay it out for you. I've got a 5.5 hour layover in Paris on my way back from Italy, which, by the way, I still got several days to make a decision on this. I come back on the 13th. So
there's no decision. You've already made the decision. You're going to do it.
Not when he said it's an hour, a hard hour to get to the Eiffel Tower.
You look at that as even more of a challenge that you want to accomplish.
Darn it, Gabe, you know me way too well, okay? 5 years into this show, and all of a sudden I got no secrets left.
Yeah, the 2 hour thing made it more likely that you were going to do it. Like, if it was easier to get there, you'd be like, that's just too easy. No, this is a high degree of difficulty that you now, in your brain, want to pull off.
I've got the Mission Impossible theme song going through my head right now. Dun, 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 dun.
Of course you are, because you also love Tom Cruise.
Old T, dang it. Weighing in on the private talk and text line, Mark Tauscher says, that's a crazy idea to leave the airport for 5 hours. Let us know what you think. 800-990-3776. What do you got?
A handy list here. 9 things to do on a layover at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Enjoy a meal. Relax in a lounge. Go shopping. Browse the art.
Oh, they might have.
Might want to cross this one off. Go sightseeing in Paris. You could take a shower. You can play some games. There is an arcade there, or you can sleep. The area closes at night. Night travels are relocated past the Traveler, but there are places for you to take a little nap.
I love that whoever compiled this article thought they were like giving us novel information.
I thought they were going to be a little more specific.
Here's some things you can do if you got a break. You could sleep, you could eat, you could shower, you could shop. Wow, okay.
PS5.
Sweet.
Game of Madden play.
We'll take a break on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. More right after this.
With a dedicated Milwaukee team, Fifth Third Bank knows what success looks like. For 15 years, we've been serving businesses, organizations, and individuals in the area with a long-standing commitment to the healthcare and not-for-profit sectors. Whether it's expansion to commercial payments, Fifth Third offers a full suite of financial services and solutions to navigate your organization's complex needs. I love the team over at Fifth Third Bank here in Milwaukee. Was just hanging out with them last week, hanging out with the guys, Kevin and Aaron and Dennis, and they had a great event, and they take care of not just their own team, but the people that they work with. It is a different team, and you need to give them an opportunity. Experience the difference with Fifth Third Bank National Association Custom Solutions, built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Backups continue with an accident northbound 43, right about at Locust off on the right shoulder, so watch out for that. Backups basically out of the Marquette all the way up past that scene to Keefe. Southbound slowing down from just south of Hampton all the way down to Locust. Northbound 4394, you've got backups right around the Plainfield curve up past Lincoln. On westbound 94, slowing out of the Marquette to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound's going to be solid from 92nd Street to about 35th. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast, morning showers to afternoon snow, becoming windy, falling temperatures, some accumulation with a high of 45 but 32 by 6 p.m. Then tonight, snow showers and very windy, slippery spots with a low of 24. Weather is brought to you by Good Health Saunas. Get your in-home infrared sauna today. Great for post-workout detoxing, skin rejuvenation, back relief, and flexibility. Visit goodhealthsaunas.com/Jen. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Hey, it's ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Norman, and you may be wondering if you are a good candidate for QC Kinetics. If you're having pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, or your back, maybe having trouble sleeping or doing the things that you love doing, then yes, you could be a great candidate for QC Kinetics and the regenerative medicine. I know when I went to QC Kinetics and saw everything they have with my own two eyes, I was blown away at the tools in their toolkit to make sure that you get your life back. PRP, platelets, plasma, and they have so much they can do to give you your life back. From all the testimonials I've heard and from what I've seen with my own two eyes, it is unbelievable to see the before and after impact of QC Kinetics and their regenerative medicine. So don't wait any longer. Finally, get your life back as spring is unfolding. Get your free consultation today with QC Kinetics at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Are you ready to shake things up at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee? All you gotta do is toss your rewards card into your favorite slots for drawing entries and a chance to be in the Roll for Riches game show. What's on the table? Oh, just $300K in cash and prizes. Play this March, and Thursday nights, you could get on a winning streak that, frankly, you deserve. Let it ride and Roll for Riches. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
So many of our youth carry unimaginable burdens. Anger, depression, even thoughts of suicide. At Rawhide Youth Services, we recognize their pain. We help them find hope and healing. For those that need a second chance at life, we refuse to give up on them. Please be a part of our life-saving work. When you donate your used vehicle to Rawhide, you're helping change the lives of countless youth in our communities. Go to rawhide.org/donate and help them realize a brighter future today.
Great Midwest Bank has document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, a 100% locally owned and managed business technology company. The bank's IT systems administrator, Michael Quizon, comments on the value of local.
We call on them at any point, they're there. We ask them any questions that we have, they're there.
James Imaging Systems, local business technology solutions, local support, local accountability. Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
If an issue does arise, they're very prompt, polite, and professional. It makes me feel empowered because I find it very easy to resolve something.
James Imaging Systems client, Al Leidinger, President of Matheson Manufacturing, summarized the benefit of local.
James Imaging has been a really good partner with us from the beginning.
Go with local. Go with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Did you know that fact, though?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know that fact?
Is that just a fact, Brig?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Chewy does. Chewy knows the most facts of anyone on the show.
He also knows the most fiction.
On 94.5 ESPN.
We are absolutely pumped to watch college basketball's best players shine on the court while they chase the ultimate trophy. It is tournament time, and where are you watching all the magic happen? Potawatomi Sportsbook, of course. Make it your place to catch all the high-flying action with a massive video wall, sports betting kiosks, excellent drink specials, and more. It's a basketball fan's paradise. Bet above the rest only at Potawatomi's Sportsbook. We'll get to some of your reaction as the show rolls on for my endeavor, my adventure, potential adventure in Paris in about a week. But I want to talk about the Green Bay Packers' first-round pick. There is some twittering that the Green Bay Packers might finally take a first-round wide receiver, which would be the first time since Javon Walker was selected back in 2002. I don't think so, Gabe. I don't think it's going to happen. I think, to your point, they will address wide receiver in free agency, and they will backfill in later rounds in the draft. But I think they think there are more pressing issues where they can get a guy who can contribute on the other side of the ball, and I think they go cornerback or defensive line with that first pick instead of wide receiver. So everybody hoping that they take a wide receiver in the first round, I think, should just keep on waiting.
I think when you take a look at, especially the history of the Packers, the way they've been successful, again, not Goody necessarily, but you can find some pretty high-end talent at that wide receiver position in rounds other than the first. It's tougher to find, I think, edge rushers outside of the first round. When you start taking a look at the guys who lead the league year in and year out, we're talking top-of-the-line guys. Typically, those are going to be first-round picks. Like the guys we're talking about in terms of the best pass rushers in the game, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, those guys were first-round talents. And you need that athleticism in order to rush the passer again, as we've seen. Lucas Van Ness has that athleticism. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a great pass rusher, but you need to have that element first before you become a great pass rusher, and it's tough to find it outside of the first round. So if somebody happens to fall to them, yeah, I think edge rusher is going to be that, or maybe cornerback if they can't add to it in free agency. Those, I think, are probably bigger needs in Goody's mind in the draft than wide receiver.
There is a guy, Joshy, and I'll defer to you on this since you are our draft dork. I told you it was going to stick. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're not.
I'm really not. No, I'm not, actually. The
self-diagnosed.
Kid from, yeah, exactly. You can't take offense to it. You said it. The kid from Arizona is a wide receiver that I think would be good for the Green Bay Packers. But again, I still think they feel that their needs are more pressing on the other side of the ball and they can get more impactful talent there. Whereas we have seen wide receivers they've taken in later rounds who have had a significant impact on that room and on the offense. What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily a 0% chance the Packers draft a wide receiver. The interesting thing that happened is some of the guys we expected to be in the top half of the draft kind of saw a little decline in their draft stock because of the performances they did put on. Now, McMillan from Arizona is the guy who has been rumored there because he did see a stock fall. But if the Packers believe he's a much higher talent than he's being given credit for based on his blend of size and speed, there is a chance he could go there. I think we shouldn't look too far past corner, defensive line, wherever it is. And I wouldn't even rule out offensive line.
Neither would I.
Just because there are shifting pieces there. And I think they are high in Jordan Morgan, and I think he's going to be a starter, and I think they're pretty excited about that potential. But they want depth, and they want guys to play multiple positions. They want to move around Elton Jenkins probably at that center spot if they don't find a hole there. So it's the premium positions are where the Packers always go.
And let's not forget, again, because the draft isn't just for 2025.
Right.
It's for beyond that. And 3 of their 5 starters are going to be free agents at the end of 2025. Because 3 of those guys were drafted a handful of years ago. So you've got right tackle with Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, and then Sean Ryan. So 3 of your 5 starting offensive linemen are going to be free agents. I doubt they re-sign all 3. So you're going to have to backfill there as well for 2026. So offensive line probably very high on the list.
But if we want to talk about where they've had success, and we talked about wide receivers finding gems in the later rounds, I feel like they have done that with offensive line pretty regularly, haven't they, Joshy?
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are very good at drafting
linemen,
offensive line, just sort of across the board. But there is opportunity in this draft with the kid from Michigan. He got extremely short arms that takes him off some people's boards. But if we remember, Brian Bulaga.
I was about to say, wasn't that Brian Bulaga's
will scream from the rooftops how much that doesn't actually matter. I do think also, like when it comes to Rasheed Walker, I think you're happy with him. But I don't think he's going to box anyone out of a guy who the Packers deem as top 15 in the draft, who would fall to 23.
It feels like they've actively tried to replace Rasheed Walker just about every year he's been the starter. Now, they've been unable to do so.
Yep.
But they have been actively trying to find somebody better at that position.
Why did I think like Jordan Morgan was somebody that they also talked about had quote-unquote short arms headed into the draft cycle?
I don't remember that specifically. He was supposed to be more pro-ready than he was, but I think like scouts around the league are high on him. It's not just the Packers kind of sniffing their own, you know what, and saying, we got our guy. He has a high reputation amongst the people in the league.
That made you uncomfortable?
What do you mean sniffing their own? What
your own
does that
farts. Mean? You're just happy with your own product.
Sorry, I wasn't following.
Wait, you've never heard that one before?
No, what is it? You're sniffing your own farts?
Yeah.
And it means you like your own
product,
your own brand.
Yeah.
So you're saying
Everybody
the
likes their
Packers
own
were
brand.
sniffing their own farts?
Yeah.
Right.
Telling it smells good.
You could argue LVN continuing to see snaps would be the Packers.
That would be the ultimate example. Yes, that would be the ultimate example.
Oh, I'm learning so much here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning. Jahdae Barron is a name I am seeing a lot connected to the Packers. He's the cornerback out of Texas. What do they like about him, Joshy?
Size and speed and ability to play multiple positions as a cornerback. He was actually listed as like a safety, but in terms of him, he mostly played out of the slot and as a safety, which we know the Packers have kind of shored that up with the 3 safeties they took last year that can all sort of play multiple positions. The real question is, does he last that long? Because I think he ends up going higher than that. And do the Packers believe he can be an outside corner? Because that's really where they're trying to improve and get better.
Is the boundary corner. That's what they have to replace with Jair Alexander, trying to find somebody who's actually a cornerback one that you can trust to be in those situations.
Between Bullard, Williams, and Keyshawn Nixon, I think they feel pretty good about slot and safety in that sort of area.
I think we have done a good job, and this is not, what was the phrase?
Smelling your own farts.
Smelling your own farts. I think we have done a good job on this program over the last few years. Remember, I said that I thought that Christian Watson was a guy that Brian Gutekunst would like. I even think last year we had talked about Cooper as somebody that we thought would be great for this team, that we hope they went out and got, and they obviously did. This year, I'd like for us to nail it down. Doesn't have to be today, but I would like for us as a show to nail down who we think, again, what they need, the type of player they typically go after, where we think they will be in the draft board. Of course, anything can change on draft night. Guys fall, guys get plucked earlier and whatnot. But I do think we should nail down somebody. I'm leaning cornerback right now, but I still haven't really done a deep dive into the defensive line where we know. And it could depend wholly on what they do in free agency. If they still go out there and try to make a splash move in free agency, that changes the direction I think they might go in the first round, Gabe.
Yeah, if they go out and get a DJ Reed, if they decide that, we want Byron Murphy, then corner's not as big of a need. Now, I still think they would draft one, just to have continued depth at that position, but maybe it's not, okay, we have to have an impact player from day one at that position. If they sign a corner, I think that offensive line and edge or defensive line becomes much more likely in the first round.
Let's put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. Go ahead.
It's going to be even more difficult because pro days have become more and more important with less people competing in it. And Justice Mosqueda does it every single year where he kind of does the Packers threshold draft picks. And every year, usually 80% of those guys will end up being Packers draft picks because they stay pretty close to it. They do venture out, like Hopper was one name that didn't make sense, but pretty much every other guy you see comes from the size things that the Packers require, the speed things, and sort of the age. So it's probably going to be a while before we can get that nailed down as those pro days keep happening. But once, like, we're within the month range of, we just said it's 50 days away, where we're going to have a pretty good idea of the guys that the Packers will be even considering as options.
We'll put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. What position do you think they will go after? Again, acknowledging there is more information to come. We have the data points thus far that is going to motivate our decision, motivate your judgment right now. There may be things that change this. We're not holding you to it 50 days from now going, oh, remember 30% of people thought they were going to go this direction and they ended up going this direction. It's just right now, what do you think the Packers will do with that pick?
Should we just save time and start looking at Georgia defenders?
Sure. Isn't there a Georgia defender that people are saying could fall to the Packers, Joshy? I saw a guy, I'm going to have to look it up.
Michael Williams is a name I've seen before as an edge rusher that could be available there.
Jalen Walker is the name of the player that I saw.
I'm unfamiliar with Jalen Walker's
body of work, resume.
Yeah, the thing is that the Georgia guys aren't as good as their defense continues to be. Like, they aren't. The prospects aren't like they've been in the past, which is sort of interesting. Like, this is a relatively, and people say it every year, relatively weak draft, where it seems like there's 10 guys everyone's convinced of, and then it's, does your GM view this guy as someone who should be in that top tier that's worth taking in the first round or not? Is kind of what we're deciding between here. But there was enough guys that had impressive combines that I think that list grew more than people expected.
We have to take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Still a lot of stuff to get to. We'll be right back after this.
Make plans. Stop by Bunzel's this week and pick up these fresh homemade specials. Corned beef brisket flats, just $12.99 a pound. Reuben and Irish Banger sausages, $6.99 a pound. Again, you want to get ready for St. Patty's Day. That is the way to do it. You can also get Smokehouse seasoned bone-in chicken breasts, $4.89 a pound. California garlic marinated jumbo chicken drumsticks, $2.79 a pound. And if you're stopping at Bunzel's, swing by the deli, grab some lunch or dinner. They have plenty of amazing options. Always typically something I do is make sure I grab a sandwich from the deli before I head home. Bunzel's, 90th and Burleigh. You can find all their weekly specials and more on their website, bunzels.com.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
Northbound on 43, solid out of the Marquette all the way up past Keith. Still dealing with an accident at Locust off on the right shoulder. On the southbound side, Hampton all the way down towards Locust as well. Northbound 4394 right around the Plainfield curve all the way up to the high-rise bridge. Westbound 94, we got some backups 20th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound's heavy from 92nd Street all the way through to 27th. And northbound on 41, backed up out of the Zoo Interchange all the way up to Burleigh. When business brings you to Milwaukee, make the Knickerbocker on the Lake your home base. Enjoy modern meeting rooms, lakefront views, and refined dining. Visit knickerbockerontheLake.com to book today. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. Showers in the morning. They turn to snow in the afternoon, becoming windy, falling temperatures, some accumulation. The high starts out at 45, but then dips down to 32 by 6 p.m. Tonight, snow showers end, very windy, slippery spots with a low of 24. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Kevin Moret here for Mentality. Life's a relentless competition, and you might be losing without even knowing it. With testosterone levels plummeting 25% in just 2 decades, you're likely operating at a fraction of your potential. Your kids sense it when you're too exhausted for playtime. Your wife notices when that spark fades. Here's the harsh truth. Without addressing low T, nothing works. Diets fail, workouts fall flat, but there's hope. Mentality's FDA-approved treatment restores testosterone by an average of 30%. Don't let low T rob you of life's precious moments. Start at mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Let's talk about home turf. Your lawn is a reflection of your pride, hard work, and even competitive spirit. If you want a yard that makes the neighbors stop and stare, you need the right plan. That's where Weedman Lawn Care comes in. Weedman's lawn care program is kid and pet friendly, uses golf course quality fertilizer, and has an effective weed treatment to dominate any issue. Get a free quote of Weedman's winning formula for your yard at weedman.com and get 50% off your first treatment. That's weedman.com. Weedman for the win.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $1,000 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a two-man scramble at TPC Sawgrass, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at wisconsindoorgolfcenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through March 31st. Your winter chance to play TPC Sawgrass awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Michelle Smallman here. Do you want to be at the draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Travel Wisconsin is sending 10 lucky fans and a guest to the draft. Experience the thrill of the draft firsthand and make memories that will last a lifetime. Don't wait. Enter Travel Wisconsin's Dream Draft Sweepstakes. Visit travelwisconsin.com/draft to learn how you can win a trip to experience the biggest moment of the offseason. Epic moments that become lifelong memories are waiting to be discovered across Wisconsin. Terms and conditions apply.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
It's ESPN Milwaukee's Kyle Walsh for Universal Windows Direct. The tax time sale is going on now, and they'll make your wallet even happier by paying no interest until 2030. Schedule your free in-home estimate today.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
It's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Though, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like a, oof, like just instead of a, huh.
Yeah. But that's all part of taking the
what I'm
training
talking
law.
about.
I do, but it's just such funny noises.
Did this get sexual or something? I don't know about it. What the hell just happened?
On 94.5 ESPN.
In case you missed it yesterday, the Green Bay Packers announced, well, I'm not sure if they announced, at least Adam Schefter announced, that the Packers were able to come to a deal with kicker Brandon McManus.
Thank God.
And for people out there who are going, what is the big deal? Why are people reacting this way to the Packers locking up a kicker? Well, it feels like a really long time since the Packers had a reliable guy at kicker, save last year, of course. Mason Crosby, right? Like, there wasn't anybody between Mason Crosby and Brandon McManus where you were like, wow, this guy's really good. I feel confident trotting him out there in a do or die, game on the line situation and knowing that it's going to go our way.
So we had Anders, who was drafted. He was bad enough they brought in Greg Joseph as competition. Neither of them was deemed good enough to win said competition, and they brought in Brandon Narveson, who obviously was not very good. Braden?
Respect the man.
Okay, I'm sorry. Braden Narveson, the Narv dog.
Gabe's like, he didn't even earn it. He didn't even earn the right to have me know his name.
Yeah, it started with the B's. Close enough. All right, he should be happy.
And Gabe's like, and if he had given us a B performance, we would have been fine with it. But since it was closer to an F. Sorry, I got all kinds of grade jokes over here.
So we've got, again, Brandon McManus, he's the solution to all your issues. Because when he goes out there, and I understand he missed a kick in the playoff game. It was pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But he's not going to be perfect. He's not going to make every kick. Not every kicker does. But you feel confident when he goes out there. And that's all you can ask for when you have a kicker. And they had one. You don't let that guy walk out the door with all the other struggles that you had going back to Mason Crosby leaving. So Brandon McManus, huge thing to check off the list for Brian Gutekunst.
And that's the thing, guys. What it allows the Packers to do is move it off of the to-do list to the done pile and focus on other things. You didn't want this hanging. You didn't want it lingering. And to your point, Gabe, you didn't think it was going to. You thought that the Packers had some leverage with the franchise tag, that they could have used that and said, you know what? We're not going to let this linger. We're going to nail this down. And if you don't want that, let's play ball.
The old adage is the deadline spur action. And I know that Andrew Brandt loves to tweet that out anytime a deal is done. Well, the deadline yesterday was 3 p.m. Central Time. That's when players had to be tagged by. So I don't think it's a coincidence that hours before that is when this was released by Adam Schefter. It seems like that was the deadline of, all right, hey, man, we can work this out now, or we can just tag you and just not worry about it and figure it out later. I'm glad the Packers got this deal done, because if this would have lingered till Monday when that legal tampering window opens, I would have not had high confidence that Brandon McManus would have returned as a Packer, because every team is looking for a reliable kicker, and this is somebody who had signed a big-time deal last year with Washington before the other issue, off-the-field issues, came up with him and the flight over when he was a member of the Jags. So that's been behind him. You lock him up. You don't worry about it.
McManus turns 34 in July, according to Jason Wilde's article on channel3000.com. Remember, that's where you can read all of Jason Wilde's great stuff now. He reveals that the younger players call him Uncle and Dad. Did you know that? Did you know that the younger players on the Green Bay Packers team called McManus Uncle and Dad? Although my guess is it's Unk from some of those guys.
I mean, how can't you? I mean, you think about this, like, I think Eric Wilson was the only other person over 30 after they got rid of Preston Smith. So it's not like he was even close to 30, 34. Like, he's in his mid-30s at that point. He's a full decade, if not more, older than most of the players on the roster. Makes sense.
Does it give you any confidence, though, that because he's 34 and maybe you'll be able to just dismiss it away as a specialist, that maybe Goody will change his tune on the youth experience, that maybe the experience that McManus brings to the table as opposed to some of the younger guys that they had in there is the difference between him being a competent, confident, consistent kicker and somebody who was working his way through, getting used to, experiencing a learning curve? Like, to me, I understand you could sit there and go, yeah, but he's a specialist. Yeah, but he's a kicker. But I do think that the lesson there is experience matters, Gabe.
That's nice. Everything you said sounded good. It sounded great. It was a great argument. It is not going to fly with Goody.
I think if he learned anything, trying to go youth at a specialist is increasingly risky as opposed to
totally
some
agree.
other positions.
But I also think that there is some validity to it being risky at all positions, especially when you go youth across the board. I watched last season. I watched the season before.
I agree. I don't think Brian Gutekunst does.
I wouldn't be surprised if post McManus, he just enters into the which kickers are available, who has established history. Let's just play it that way.
Yeah.
And if some guy is young and you think he has a good chance, maybe you give him a competition when it's like low risk. But I think the drafting kickers and specialists is pretty much done. You can kiss that goodbye.
LL Cool Whip on the YouTube stream weighing in saying, real missed opportunity here for a Mick Daddy nickname. I agree. I agree. Calling him Uncle and Dad is cool, but when you're McManus, Mick Daddy is a good one.
I will never, and I mean ever, call another grown man any form of daddy. Not going to happen. Throw a Mick in front of it doesn't make it better. It's not going to happen. Never going to call another grown-ass man daddy.
That's a very good point by you, actually. I really didn't think it through. I just saw the tweet and thought, that's a good point. I really like the nickname, but you know me and nicknames.
Yeah, you flock to the bad ones.
Complicated relationship.
What would a McDaddy burger or sandwich be? Because that's what I think of when I think of Mick in front of anything. I immediately go to the McDonald's and the McChicken and those types of the McRib.
A McDaddy. What would a McDaddy have on it? Bacon?
Bacon feels required.
Feels like a lot of meat. Right? Like, this is a burger that you're throwing pastrami on or something like that, like on top of it. You know what I mean? Like
maybe a little pulled pork even?
A little pulled pork, a little pastrami, a little bacon. We got 4 meats going on there. That feels like a daddy burger.
Yeah, for sure.
Are we throwing an egg on top? Too much.
I feel
Pull
like
back.
we're getting crazy.
Pull back.
McDaddy likes to keep it pretty. Like, there might be no sauce. It might be a straight up meat and cheese burger.
I don't even think I could pull through McDonald's and go, "Can I have the McDaddy, please?" Don't think I could do that.
Yeah, but you've said it now on the show a few times, so maybe you're working your way up.
A great point, Gabe. With a lot of restaurants you go to, especially some that are trying to be modern and hip, they have just asinine names for the items. Oftentimes, when it is something I feel embarrassed to say aloud, I'll just point. If they give a number, I will give the number. But if it's like a lot of times it's like sex adjacent for some reason. And at these restaurants, it's like, no, I'm not saying that aloud.
What restaurants are you going to, Joshy?
There's a place that is egg blank that has quite interesting names on it.
Egg?
Yeah, you can't say the last.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to going to that place when I'm in Vegas next week.
Yeah, and that
it is my favorite place.
The
to
menu items, ridiculous.
I'm going to look it up. I don't know what it is. Can I look it up on a work computer?
I mean, you can. It's a restaurant. You just can't say the second word of the name of the restaurant on the radio.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a challenge to me. We'll take a break, get to some of your reaction. We had a lot rolling in today regarding the, now there's a lot of McDaddy reaction rolling in on the old talk and text line. Also, my adventure in Paris. Should I try to go see the Eiffel Tower during my 5.5-hour layover? We'll get to your reaction right after this on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
The new year is here, and we all know it's the perfect time to hit the reset button. Let's be real, guys. Feeling confident in how you look and feel isn't just for women. That's where Quintessa Aesthetic Center comes in. From now through March 31st, Quintessa is offering exclusive packages to help you start 2025 as a more confident you. Whether it's weight loss plans or even IV therapy, Quintessa has personalized options backed by medical experts to help you look and feel your absolute best. Visit myquintessa.com to learn more. Make 2025 the year you feel confident inside and out.
James Imaging Systems. Local support, local accountability, local business technology representatives. Listen to Matheson Manufacturing President Al Leidinger.
She still checks in to see how things are going and if we need anything. So I really do appreciate that from a customer service standpoint.
Michael Quizon, IT Systems Administrator at Great Midwest Bank, discovered the benefits of working with the local team at James.
Our cost from supplies perspective went down. I mean, we're talking about thousands in a year. So we saved a lot of money by bringing James Imaging on.
James Imaging Systems client Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, on dealing with James.
They are making sure you get the full value in life of every product that you have with them.
Local support, local accountability, local people. Get it all with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
So it was the fourth quarter and we're down by 5. Sweat pouring down my face. Suddenly it hit me. If only I could wrap part of the towel around my forehead. And that's how I became the first basketball player to wear a headband.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text GRIT to 42424
24 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text GRIT to 42424. That's GRIT to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
How do you get to 10 in NFL in the football game? How do you do that?
You can have 5 safeties.
That's a great point.
Which would also be a great endorsement for Derek Carr.
2 field goals, 2 safeties.
2 field goals, 2
also
safeties.
a great endorsement for the quarterback. Continue. What else do we have?
On 94.5 ESPN.
Here we go.
The general consensus I am seeing on the Carbless Talk and Text line, 800-990-3776, about me trying to go see the Eiffel Tower during a 5.5-hour layover in Paris on the 13th of March when I'm returning from the Special Olympics World Games that's crazy town. Someone even wrote in saying, you are advised to have at least an 8-hour layover in Paris, Chris in the 414.
Oh.
If you are going to leave the airport to go sightsee. It says they suggest at least an 8-hour layover.
Again, don't tell Jen this information. It's only going to make it more likely that she tries this.
Chef Ed says no risk it, no biscuit.
Chef Ed gets it.
Ron in the Key says, I think they're saying you're scared, Jen, which I know is a taunt, is a temptation.
As of right now, you're scheduled to do the show on the 14th, correct?
Correct.
So should we just plan for you not to be here then?
No, again, I haven't made a decision on this.
No, yeah, sure you haven't.
Let's see. Billy says, I don't think you can pull this off. Jacob in the 414 says, but you must see the Eiffel Tower. So I think he's saying you got to make it happen. Matthew in the 414 is saying, just make sure you clean out your Mary Poppins bag before you go through TSA. Also good advice. Thank you, loyal listener, Matthew in the 414.
Poor TSA agent pulling a wet diaper out of your bag as you go through.
Stevie in the 414 says, why is that girl talking about farts? That's what my first grade daughter just said. I wasn't talking about farts. Joshy brought up the farts. I had never heard the phrase before, so I had to have him explain it to me. Meanwhile, now people are talking.
Also, but you then got dragged into the fart conversation, so ipso facto.
Yeah, it was like quicksand, though. Like, I was like wrestling, but they tell you got to stay still. That's the only way you can get out of the quicksand.
McDaddy. Cheesy squeezy.
Oh, thank you. Cheesy squeezy.
Not a compliment.
Yeah. Thought if you heard the McDaddy part first that you'd hear the rest of it, but apparently not.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Liverwurst is something that Stevie suggests should be on the McDaddy. Ugh. Liverwurst in general. Do people still eat liverwurst?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Like where?
I think it's a generational thing. I think.
All right, well, and theoretically, those folks
I
you
bet
know.
Chewy has some praise to sing about liverwurst.
No chance. Well, although he does like borscht. So
he's going to have praises to sing about it, even though he hasn't had it in probably
and he
25
doesn't like
years.
it particularly.
Yeah.
It's just the nostalgia factor.
Mm-hmm.
LL Cool Whip says, if you're making a McDaddy, you got to put an aging leg of lamb because he's a kicker. Talking about McManus. All right, well, that was an adventure. I'm off to Italy. Good luck with everything, Gabe.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Wildy and Tausch is next on ESPN Milwaukee.
Over the high-rise bridge through the Marquette up to Keefe. We do still have a couple of cars left over on the right shoulder at Locust with the crash. Westbound 94, 27th Street to about Mitchell Boulevard is going to be heavy. The eastbound side, 84th to 35th. We've also got backups northbound on 41 from about North Avenue all the way up to Burleigh. Traffic is brought to you by Fisco Auto Body. Call Fisco Auto Body to help with all body repair needs. Fisco, Fisco, Fisco. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. Morning showers give way to afternoon snow.